Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness. I am equally excited and nervous. I am Fatuma Adar. I am the writer of Dixon Road. I want to introduce myself using a visual description. I'm a Black woman with pink hair. I'm wearing a brown dress and a gold necklace. I'm currently in my living room and I am on Toronto. And I'd like to acknowledge that here in Toronto, I am on the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse nations, Inuit and Métis people. And Toronto, specifically Dixon Road, is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit. So, as a kid of immigrants whose parents settled here in this land to escape a civil war back home, I wasn't raised with the knowledge of the genocide that has happened and continues to happen to Indigenous folks right here, in a place where often immigrants are taught to consider Canada a safe haven or a refuge from horrors outside of these borders. And where there were gaps in my personal public education system, it was Indigenous artists who, by virtue of just telling their stories, illuminated the history of this country. So I would just like to plug these artists because it is way more impactful if you talk to them and listen and engage with their work than it is to hear me talk about it. So I'd like to plug Corey Payette, who is a proud of his OG Cree heritage from Northern Ontario and has worked across Canada as a playwright, actor, composer, and director. I first learned about Corey through his musical Children of God, which is a powerful musical about the OG Cree family whose children were taken away to a residential school in Northern Ontario. I believe there should be a link to Corey's work in the chat. I'd also like to plug Yolanda Bonnell, who is a queer two-spirit Anishinaabe, Ojibwa, South Asian, European mixed performer, playwright, and multidisciplinary. Yolanda does it all. I met Yolanda when I was working at Theatre Passe Muraille when I saw their play Bug, which the description of that is the girl traces her life from surviving the foster care system to her struggles with addiction. And you can get a copy of Bug now, the book, by checking out Yolanda's website, hopefully also in the chat. And finally, I would like to highlight Miali Elise Coley Sudlovnik and Adeline Bird, who are both incredible Afro-Indigenous women who I had the pleasure of working with at Obsidian on a project called 21 Black Futures. Miali wrote and Adeline performed in this piece called Blackberries, which tells the story of Effie Ando, who is of mixed Afro-Inuk heritage and finds herself in Nunavut for the first time to attend her grandmother's funeral. And you can watch Blackberries on CBC Gem now, also, hopefully, in the chat. So in addition to all of these artists, I hope that you take a pledge with me to decolonize your arts consumption and to spotlight Indigenous stories as much as we can. And trust me, this is more than just doing your part to make yourself feel good. These artists are actually incredibly talented and deserve to be celebrated. So do your homework and please check them out. And I would like to bring on Kimberly Colburn, who is the director and dramaturge for Dixon Road.
Thank you so much, Fatuma. Yes, I am a white woman. I make up for it with all the rainbow colors in my hair. I also have distinctive black framed glasses and a nice neutral screen behind me so you can't see the messiness of my home. I would like to, how could I possibly follow that amazing land acknowledgement, which should be like the benchmark of which all land acknowledgements are measured against in the future? But I would like to add a little bit more gratitude to the many organizations and people that have brought us together here today, specifically Museum, of course, but Obsidian Musical Stage Company and Union. And we'll talk a little bit more about those organizations all later at the end. But I would like to pass it back to my museum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'll start by providing a description of myself as well. I'm sitting on a green couch in my home, surrounded by some decorative cushions. I'm a Filipino woman with dark black hair that's pulled back, and I'm wearing a red V-neck floral top. My name is Nadine Villestein-Feldman. I'm the Director of Programming at Museum of Toronto, and I'd like to welcome you to Museum's 6th Annual Intersections Festival and today's program, Dixon Road. The Intersections Festival is an annual citywide arts and cultural festival that explores Toronto through diverse intersectional perspectives. And this festival aims to provide a platform for members of the community to share their stories and invites members of the public to submit their project proposals to the festival. So every year we have the privilege of partnering with individuals, artists, community groups, service organizations, heritage associations, and more to present a wide variety of programs. And this year's festival adopts a new hybrid model balancing outdoor physical exhibits with virtual exhibits, events, and experiences. Before we begin, I would just really like to give a huge thank you to our Dixon Road project partners. This project was first conceived as a live performance and community conversation to take place both at Union Station as well as at Ishtar Restaurant in the Dixon Road community. I hope I got that right. I think Fatuma will correct me if I didn't. It was, yeah, so I would really like to thank Musical Stage Company and Obsidian Theatre Company for being such flexible and collaborative partners in adapting this project to a digital space. Very special thank you to Ray Hogg, Victoria Wang, of course, Fatuma and Kimberly for all the planning and the pre-planning and the replanning and replanning again as we went from one COVID stage to another. And a huge, huge thank you to Mitchell Marcus, Aaron Willis, and Jordan Lafreniere for having laid the groundwork for this project back in 2019. Thank you as well to our venue partner, Union, with special shout outs to the very warm and wonderful team there, Saima Shah, Alexa Pollins, Kim Gravel for their generosity in providing us with such a beautiful space to film the performances in. I'd like to thank our festival funders, Canadian Heritage, Ontario Cultural Attractions Fund, our community donors, Quadreal Property Group Toronto, the McLean Foundation, and Downtown Young BIA. So many people to thank. But of course, I would especially like to thank our very hardworking museum staff for all the work that you do day in, day out, and particularly over this COVID year. And so just some last information about tonight's program. This event is 1 hour long and features a mix of live speakers, a combination of interview and musical excerpts filmed from Union Station, and a live question and answer period between the writer of Dixon Road, Fatuma, and the director, Kimberly. So there'll be opportunities to ask questions throughout the program and a dedicated Q&A portion following the interview and the musical excerpts. So please feel free to take breaks as you need them. There will be a recorded version of this program available on the museum website in the weeks to come. My Zoom staff are also available in the chat if you need assistance. So I've said many things and all that is left to say is to pass things back to Fatuma and Kimberly and to thank you again for joining us this evening.
Hello, welcome back. It's me again. On the screen is a lovely map of where Dixon Road is, including a fun photo of me and my dad. It occurred to me as we were doing this project that some people don't know where Dixon Road is, which I guess is sort of the whole point of the show. So to help contextualize some things, I wanted to share a bit of what is in the actual script as sort of a preamble to what the actual Dixon Road script is, and that's sort of setting the relationship between Mogadishu, Somalia, and Toronto, Canada. So for Mogadishu, Somalia, I have, with the collapse of the Siad Barre government in 1991, Somalia launches into a civil war. People who can afford to leave try to flee, and unbeknownst to them at the time, the war would eventually shut down the airport. And this happened so suddenly that before 1991, during the collapse, some people didn't even know that they would be the last to escape. Meanwhile in Canada, Toronto, Canada, due to a financial crisis, condo buildings in Dixon Road, originally occupied by white upper middle class Canadians in retirement, weren't selling. The government of Canada, currently dealing with a surge of Somali refugees, turned some of the apartment buildings into subsidized housing, planting the seeds of what will later be Little Mogadishu. And I could spend forever talking about why I wanted to write a musical about Dixon Road. There was the wanting to time capsule the story of people like my parents, aunts, and uncles, and diaspora communities that make up this country's diverse identity, but no one asks about the history of how we got here. And as a Somali kid who was born in Canada, I think a lot about how we got here. Growing up, I moved around Toronto a lot, sometimes from housing to housing, then sometimes from country to country. But a few places sear in my thoughts more than Dixon Road. That's where I saw Somali women deciding what dira they were going to wear to weddings, Somali men in parking lots drinking coffee and talking about the politics of back home, trying to ignore the politics of here, and families gathering around the courtyard for July 1st to celebrate Independence Day of a country that I had never been to. All of those musings led me to write a show. And about 1 year of a family as they immigrated from Somalia to Dixon Road. If you want to learn a little bit more of the story, my dad and I were featured in the Toronto Star, in which he fact checks me quite often. So I implore you to check out that article when you get a chance. And Kimberly will give you more of an idea as to what tonight will be. But the hope is to continue working on this show and continue representing this community in a way that resonates with me. I think we deserve more happy endings, and I tried to write one. So originally, we were going to do this presentation of the show at Istar Restaurant. However, because of COVID, we had to pivot to digital. But if you don't know, Istar is a Somali restaurant on Dixon Road. So if you're in the neighborhood or want to visit the neighborhood, do me a solid by picking up some food there. The link will be in the chat. As you can tell, sometimes the thing that makes me feel really good is to just plug other Somali folks, just so, you know, the burden is on all of us when it comes to speaking stories of being a diasporic Somali kid. And I really want to plug this playlist by my friend Huda Hassan. It's called Ayal Baraf, and that translates to Children of Snow, and it's a Spotify playlist with incredible diasporic Somali singers, and no skips, so definitely check that out. Also on my list here is Amal Nuh, who is an incredible musician, recently did a piece with the Juno Awards in their Rising series about her history with Dixon. So many stories of Somali artists come out of Dixon, and Amal is an incredible one. So if you're starved for more Dixon content, please check out this video. It's incredible. I'd also like to plug the Somali Immigrant Aid Organization, a nonprofit community-based organization that is committed to addressing the immigration, integration, education, health, housing, social services, culture, and economic development needs of Somali-Canadians and other immigrants in Canada through program service and advocacy. This includes mental health, which I think is relatively important for newcomers and the diaspora, because it's not something that we address a lot, and I think it's important that we do. So that's a lot of context on Dixon and why I wanted to write a show about it. To talk a little bit more about the journey to how we got here, to presenting some songs and an interview with my dad to my museum, I'm gonna bring back Kimberly.
Thanks so much, Fatuma. It's all such wonderful context, and I bet that nobody knew when they came to this that they were going to be getting a list of homework. So nice. It's great. They're all really fabulous things to check out. I do highly recommend it. So you're an amazing curator. This piece tonight is something that's near and dear to all of our hearts, but not least of which is how long we've been working on it. We originally had this offer at least 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, and it was meant to be an excerpted showing of the script taking place in Union Station, so that way you could really feel the city around you as things are moving through. And then we were also going to do a performance at the Istar Restaurant. Obviously that was in May of last year, so COVID shut that all down. I think this is about I think it's the 8th actual full plan that we have in place of what we were going to do. And we took every safety precaution that we possibly could in order to present this to you. What you have is Fatuma talking to her dad, and the fun thing that she did with that interview, which, you know, is maybe not totally clear, but I'm just gonna tell on you a little bit. She hadn't really told him exactly what she was doing and exactly what she was writing, and so she sort of sprung it on him with this interview. So you're getting a really pure and heartfelt reaction from him, which is lovely, and it's intersliced with the songs that sort of speak to each section that that is being highlighted in that interview part. As so many people have said, we will have a Q&A at the end, so please feel free to log your questions in at any time that they occur to you, because that way people get a chance to upvote it and things like that. I can't thank enough that all of the actors who brought this to life. You're only going to see 3 performers, each individual and standing alone, so that nobody ever crossed spaces. But we did have an amazing 3-week workshop on Zoom where everyone sang their heart and souls out in the most creative way possible. I think that that's one of the silver lining gifts that COVID has given us as artists, is to teach us that we are in fact incredibly resourceful, and it will always continue, and we will always find a way to tell these stories. So without further ado, let's watch that video. What do you say?
Let's do it. Enjoy, everyone.
MashaAllah, beautiful. My beautiful daughter. My beautiful daughter. And
that's why I was just in there.
And action.
Hey there, Intersections Festival. This is voiceover Fatuma here to give you some quick context while my dad's beautiful footage of Somalia plays in the background. So, I wrote a musical about a family who had to leave behind everything that they knew to start again here in Canada, in a small neighborhood called Dixon Road. The dad in the show is a lot like my dad, right? What you know, I guess. So this is an interview where we get to know him a little better. We'll also be sharing some of the songs from the show, which was all filmed here in Toronto at Union Station. A big thank you to the cast, Kimberly, Adam, the musical stage company, Museum, Union Station, and Obsidian Theatre for supporting Dixon Road. And of course, thank you to my dad for taking a chance on me and my dreams. Ah, there he is. Now you're all caught up, so let's begin.
How do you feel about me interviewing you?
That's very good, and
you like
I'm very happy to you be interviewed with me.
Yeah.
That's why we're waiting so long. I teach you and how you to interview for the people.
Oh, so you taught me how to interview for people?
I already teach you when you're too young, so I give you a microphone when I was in the journalist.
That's where it all began. I call you all the time about Dixon Road, right?
I remember. But you're like, I'm the first person renting this apartment. There's no Somalis there. I'm the first person.
The first Somali in Dixon Road.
I was renting the 370 Dixon Road.
Yeah.
And it was tremendously. After that, a lot of people come from Somalia.
Yeah.
I was walking to the immigration, pick up to the Buffalo.
Yeah.
And everybody asking me, where do you live? And I say, I live Dixon.
Dixon.
And they come all Dixon to rent the apartments there.
Yeah. You were a diplomat, you were doing documentary work, you were recording, right?
Yeah, actually, and when I was back home, I was having a lot of film documentaries, and that sector of journalism is be working very hard. Coming to the Canada, we just asking them how to be asylum.
Yeah, asylum.
Yeah, and they will be accepted automatically.
Yeah.
And because we tell them how situation in Somalia.
Yeah.
And we are in diplomatic view going back there.
Yeah.
And we don't want the government is still harming.
Yeah, because your family had diplomatic connections.
Yeah.
You knew that if you went back, it would have been dangerous.
Then I was become Canada. It's North Pole. It's more cold.
It's so cold. Why did you stay here?
It's so cold, actually. We're looking at the opportunity to get our feet way ahead. And, we are not chilling how cold it is, and how difficult it is. We're thinking how we catch the opportunity, how we
can change your
life. Yes.
Yeah.
Voiceover Fatuma is back. So, as you can tell, my dad is quite the go-getter. This is some of his footage from the first time he returned to Somalia after the Civil War. Seeing him in his element like this is so unlike I remember. I'm sure I'm not the only kid of immigrants whose parents were professionals back home, but here in Canada, it was a different story. What can I say? Some people have a hard time seeing potential. Their loss.
Watch the man try to surpass his limits. Watch the man demand what he cannot get. You can dress up, not mess up, but show up and they'll see through you. All your black Muslimness can't be disguised in a suit. Watch the man fail becoming one of you. Ooh, miskin. Ooh, miskin. Watch the man, ego absorb the blow. Watch the man not understand, the resilience, persistence, insist he's got something we don't. Yeah, delusion, confusion, will they include him? No, they won't. Oh, watch the man and his pride become a joke. Ooh, miskin. Focus on what you have instead of what you've lost. You can keep fighting, but it'll come at a cost. Long gone are the days when you were your own boss. Ooh, miskin. Watch the man defeated, this is new. Watch the man giving up, could this be true? I'll admit seeing you quit doesn't feel as good as expected. I wanted you knocked down a peg, not perpetually rejected. If you couldn't make it through all of your arrogance and smug, guess that really tells me there's no hope for the rest of us. No hope for the rest of us. Ooh, miskin.
I'm writing Dixon Road. Dixon Road is a ruwayat, right?
Yes.
And it's a ruwayat that is about a father who is a documentarian who he comes to Canada and he's worried about his daughter pursuing her dreams because the world isn't fair all the time, right? When I told you I wanted to be a writer and I was going to stop doing med school,
Medical school, I remember, yeah.
when I was going to stop doing med school and that I was
And
going to be a writer,
Saskatoon.
I was so nervous. But then you said, Fatuma, you understand this system. You said, you know what you're doing. I can't tell you how to live your life here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was, when you select it, you become a writer rather than a medical. You know how to comfortable of your university. If I tell you something's advisory or what I want, it might be I have little information what you're getting in the university, whether you like it. But I see you decided yourself whether you like it. Okay, and then go to your destiny. That's the goal. You can be successful. So I need more you leading what you want to become, and I just get away. Don't scare to me, but communication with me.
Yeah, tell you.
Right.
What was I like as a baby? Do you think I was creative, imaginative? I was good at school?
Yeah, you're so smart. I remember when I was graduated in Toronto, and school, we have a big stadium, right? And, you know, our graduation you become, right? And I give you my diploma, right?
Yeah, I have that picture.
And my hat, right?
Yes.
When I graduated.
Yeah. And I was nervous to tell you that I was going to become a writer. The thing that eventually gave me the bravery to tell you is knowing Abu did this before. Yes. Abu knows stories. He knows the values of telling people our stories. As Somali people, as Muslim people, as Black people, it's important for people to know who our stories are. So it was scary to tell you, but I know that you knew the value of why it's important.
Yes. When you have a daughter, and Prophet Muhammad والسلام, and says, when you teach the girl and give them good education, it's equal to the entire world.
Are you proud of me?
Yeah, I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. And writer, journalist.
I'm proud of you
writer,
too.
editor, yeah.
We're proud of each other.
You already graduated, now you are writing. Very glad.
You're glad? Would you be happier if I was a doctor right now?
Yeah, actually, and
up until this moment, I've been going through the motions, flowing like the ocean, afraid to make a splash. Up until this moment, couldn't say where I was going, but I feel like that part of me has passed. Whatever strings that held me back have snapped. Am I ready to blaze my own path? Just been hit with an epiphany. This new country is offering me choices I never thought I'd have. I could get a job or a degree or a husband and see my options don't have to end at that. I've been marching along to the beat of their drum, never quite getting the rhythm to the song, but now thank God, or thank Oprah, at least I know the missing piece. Find me. Forget what they're expecting. Block out the noise, don't listen. Find me. She's in there somewhere. Wait and see, be prepared. It'll take some time and some experimenting, but that's just fine. What better prize than getting to a place where I could finally feel free when I find me. Once I heard a proverb that could explain this awkward place where they debate but stay side by side. It said it's never really war, nor never really peace in between a man and his wife. Is that something I want for my life? Or here we have the hustler who slaves for every dollar, saves some for coffee, hands the rest to his kid. So the kid now feels the pressure, don't just survive but do better. Pass every test that life has to give. Sure, the options before me aren't so grand, but I'm bound to fall over if I don't take a stand for something fate is crushing. What if I design my own destruction? Find me. Now I'm starting to panic. Oprah didn't warn me, now I'm manic. Her instructions are lacking one vital component. What the hell happens post aha moment? What if I become my worst opponent when I find? How many girls at this world told no? Then they grow up and they don't know where to go because you spit on their sparks, set their hopes out clean. Now we're left with young women who've forgotten how to dream, and I don't know what I want. What I know, what I don't, is to be the one who freezes, the person who chokes, cause she can't decide, she can't see inside, can't see anything. I'll do anything, I'll try anything to find me. I'll keep on searching, scour my heart, keep working, find me. Come out and stop hiding, get up and start fighting. It'll take some time and some experimenting, but that's just fine. What better prize than getting to the person I was meant to be, meant to be, meant to be. When I find me.
So when you first left Somalia, did you think you would be gone that long?
No.
No.
Actually, when I was coming to the United States, I was supposed to be studying for 4 years or
Yeah.
whatever my education will be finished.
Yeah.
And I was working with diplomatic and I have to go back.
You would go back.
Yes, but dramatically, it was very hard to go back.
Yeah.
And the country goes to collapse
Yeah.
and goes to the civil war.
Yeah. You came from the airport, and the closest thing
No,
to the airport is Dixon Road.
Dixon Road, yeah. Well, because I walked to the airport.
You worked at the airport,
Yes,
yeah.
and then I see which closest area I can rent it. It's that Dixon Road.
So coincidentally, Canada Day and Somalia Day are the same day.
Actually.
Somehow, July 1st, Somali-Canadians are sitting here being like, okay, what side am I on? What am I celebrating? And I remember, and I put this in the show, I remember when I was younger, you used to take me to go see the fireworks.
Yes.
And for Canada Day, and they would be going off, and I remember you saying,
Go Somali Day too.
that's for us.
Yes.
You used to look at the fireworks that
Yes.
went off and you were like, that's happening for us.
Because we have a civil war in Somalia, and we come this country, and then Somali need each another. Although they suffer from the civil war, tribalism civil war was the military dictatorship created to the kind of hate each another, kill each another, and it's so hard when they come together to forget easily how to try another tribe to kill each other.
Yeah.
We have to celebrate it July 1st.
Yeah.
We show up, our grandfathers work great job while it was colonized.
Yeah, they
Get
worked
away-
really hard
very hard to get independence.
to get independent.
And that was very important, no matter how bad our civil war it is. So this is a very great time. We have to come together. We have to walk our generation born in Canada, like you.
Yeah, that's independent.
Yes, you born my. You see, I was looking every day. I have too many flags in Somalis.
You have a
on my
lot of
home.
Somali flags.
Flags at home, you know, and I will say, let's go today. We go. It's very important. People still cannot lost their faith of the Somalis.
Star in the blue sky, it's what the Somali flag bears. You can't see the stars in the sunlight, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Have faith, have faith. the sunlight. Trust that someone cares. In Mogadishu, the sky was speckled. Every star glistened and gleamed. It's hard to see the stars in Toronto. City lights are the stars, so it seems. And I first came determined to be what he told me to be. Would she be disappointed at how this new world changed me? Star in the blue sky, she gave me a flag to hold dear. Stars in the sunlight tried to teach me, but I wouldn't hear. What's the point of staring at stars or keeping your head in the clouds? Stars in the sunlight, and now she won't be around. What do you want from me? I'm trying my best. You've taken everything, I've got nothing left. My parents, my country, the man I used to be. Is there more to life than just surviving? Star in the blue sky, it's what the Somali flag bears. Can't see the stars in the sunlight, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Have faith, have faith, have faith. Stars in the sunlight, trust and do not despair.
So we're coming to the end of our conversation.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I asked you so many questions. Were you nervous about my questions?
That's okay. I have a lot of interviewed them before.
You had a lot of, but you've never been interviewed by your daughter before.
No, it's absolutely right.
Do you think that we understand each other now?
Yeah, now we understand. Very good. Thank you for, I think doing documentary movies and Dixon Road theaters, promoting more generation come to understand our value and Somali culture. That's why I would like to be going home. You are inside to telling the Canadians how the Somali come from and people and how they learn here. And I'm very proud with me with family, proud in Somali people. You should not do it. It's a problem.
We're very
great in Somalia. So I'm of the future. You will teach the young generation.
Well, you taught me, so I have to pass it on.
Yes, pass on. Now I'm almost retired, right? So you just keep going.
I gotta keep going.
You keep going to documentary the Somali.
I'll do my best. Thank you. Let's go get, it's Ramadan.
Yes, Ramadan.
We're gonna
go to the
restaurant and we're gonna go get some food for iftar and eat with our family.
Then you will see how lineup it is.
Yes, exactly.
I can show you.
Let's go eat.
So we went and grabbed some takeout to break our fast. My dad played documentaries on the way and shared more anecdotes about home. It's really not hard to figure out why I talk so much. When theaters open up again, I can't wait to bring him to see Dixon Road. And I'm sure he'll have a lot of notes. Love you, Abo. I hope I keep making you proud.
In Mogadishu, the sky was speckled. Every star glistened and gleamed. It's hard to see the stars in Toronto. City lights are the stars, so it seems. And I first came
Now it is my favorite part of this show where I turn the tables on you. You interviewed your dad, and now I get to interview you. Ha ha ha.
Go for it.
So we've got some questions in the chat already, but feel free to keep tossing them at us. In fact, I would love to start with Sagal Dwale's question in the Q&A, just because I think it's a really interesting place to start. How has your connection to your Somali identity changed as you've grown, and what stage of growth / connection are you at now?
Okay, so we're starting off easy.
Oh no, not at all.
I feel like I went through what some might think is a unique cycle, but I think every kid who grew up in an immigrant home went through the stage of, especially if you grew up in Canada and might have not grown up in the home where your family is from, growing up not really knowing and being really disconnected, and just knowing you were always surrounded by people who looked like you, with this one thing that kind of joined you all, to being a diaspora kid in Canada, and really being afraid of anything that made you different. Like I was a kid who wore hijab for a long time when I was younger, and there was a lot of like mixed feelings about that, and what it means to be from an African country had its own. So you grow up almost trying to distance yourself from it, only to realize when you've like walked too far, you're like, who am I? I've lost the entire sense of what that is and who I actually am, and it is the road of coming back. And I think this show largely was such a big part in that, and I think it's the reason why I've stuck to it for so long, because I have the privilege of, in my work, part of my job is calling my dad and talking to him about what life used to be like, and things that I remember when I was younger, and capturing a history that so quintessentially defined him as a human being, that inherently defined who I was and how those stories match up. So it's changed by kind of like facing it and going through all the things that you were afraid to find out about yourself, only to realize it's some of the best parts of who you are.
So you mentioned your own memories and talking to your dad, and obviously talking to the Somali community that you were very much a part of. But did you do other research? Did you need to do other research?
My dad would like to be cited as the first source, if that's what you're asking. Yes,
absolutely, absolutely.
But also, yeah, I did. I did do a lot of research. There's this documentary that I think CBC did way back when. I can't find it because I only watched it on a VHS at the Toronto Public Reference Library, and it's since gone missing. So if you know where this is, it's called.
If any of you out there can track it down,
can track down this VHS. It's called A Place Called Dixon, and it was like a 3-part news segment about Somali people moving into the Dixon Road complexes, and how that caused a lot of strife with the previous folks who had lived there, very much like a white flight situation that inevitably became Little Mogadishu. And it's such an interesting documentary because okay, blatant racism, I guess, is where I can begin with that. There's just a lot of issues that I think by being Black, by being Muslim, by being from an immigrant community, you do face a lot of those problems immigrating into a place. But also it has some interesting gems, like Canaan is in it for like 3 seconds at 18, like as a young person. Like I feel like Dixon Road to the Somali community is so quintessentially like the place that it always surprises me that folks don't really know much about it. So I did a lot of research on my end. Another issue with research with Dixon Road was all of the things that happened with Rob Board in the later years that kind of buried the algorithm for finding resources about this pivotal community that grew in that neighborhood and had been rebranded as something entirely different to what I remembered it to be. So research was there, but there was also like a lot of just like talking to relatives and people who had been there and asking them what that was like. And I also like to think that there are a few little Mogadishus across the world. Like there's one in like Minnesota. There are little communities, little insert country name, all over the world. And I think that if you are diasporic, you can recognize yourself in this kind of story, I think, in the community sticking together and creating a home away from home.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question that was actually in the chat box that I think is interesting to think about. So if you're familiar with the piece, which you can't be because it hasn't been performed yet, we in its entirety on a stage where you can buy a ticket sort of thing, then you would know that the character of the mother and grandmother are very present and have a lot to say. It just, this particular iteration of the programming didn't sort of highlight their contributions. But somebody asked about your mom, if she was around and what influence she had. And if you know the show, you wouldn't have that question. But I just wanted to honor your mom as part of this as well, and not let Muhammad take all the glory.
Oh no, my mom actually has a whole other like thing that I'm writing. I'm gonna wear out all my family members. My mom has a whole other piece. Dixon Road my dad can have. I have 5 younger brothers, so I'll just, I've got content for time. It's fine.
But thanks for the question, Brian. And Akiva actually has got a great question too that ties into that, which is, how's it been balancing the autobiographical elements and the fictionalized elements of the show?
I think it's been relatively new for me to discover that the thing that you're actually looking for in a story is like your personal truth to it. Obviously, like the main dynamic relationship in the show is between the father and the daughter, but just because they're like a generation older than me, or the daughter is a generation older than me, that makes it an entirely different ball game from what my upbringing was, having not been to Somalia. And I think the things that are really spoken for in the show are those moments of who was I before, who am I now, who could I be? A lot of those very simple human questions that just sprung from this really big inciting incident, which was the fact that they had to leave home. And it's really interesting because my dad had said earlier this year, or earlier last year when the pandemic had first begun, he said it was the first time he saw people shocked by losing something big. And it was a thing that he was very familiar with. And I had heard stories like that and countless stories like that in the past. And I wanted to hone in on that feeling for that character, as well as the daughter character, hone in on the feeling of, can I actually dare to say that I want to do what I've always dreamed of doing if my parents had sacrificed so much for me? Do I actually have the liberty to be an artist after everything that they had sacrificed? So those were sort of the quintessential questions that I kept as grounding posts and plot surrounding them.
And those are huge, complicated questions. What made you think, what musical?
Oh no.
What? I mean, those questions don't naturally to me lead to like in an A plus B equals C kind of way. I don't think your identity in a new country and the challenges facing an immigrant family and all of that doesn't add up to musical.
Sure. Well, it's interesting because I feel like every artist has like a butterfly effect that made them want to create a thing. And my butterfly effect was a few things. It was I had come back to Toronto and I was surrounded by a lot of Somali-Canadian artists, and our stories were all similar, which is like a thing that you don't really realize. You kind of go through life thinking, oh, all these problems are so uniquely mine. And then you meet other Somali-Canadians who talk about upbringings and like telling your parents you're an artist. So inherently, like the content started spewing around that time. And then Hamilton had happened, which made me discover In the Heights, and then discovering just simply a musical told by somebody of a different background. I was like, oh, you could do that. Interesting. And then I had started, I had always grown up loving musicals. Like if it's a musical, I will watch it. Like that's my bare minimum for going on Netflix. If it's a musical, I will watch it. And just realizing that I didn't know when I would ever see the two combined, which is something that is African and something that is musical, and then something that has Muslim people in it. Like I had seen so many family musicals, like Next to Normal, Fun Home, all surrounding just what it means to be in a family when something really happens. And I just thought, what would that look like for my family and our community? And it sung, I guess is the best way to describe it. I had worked at the public theater. I did the Bars workshop that taught how to tell stories through verse. And it was run by Raphael Casal and David Diggs of Hamilton, and just teaching you how to use verse and hip hop rhythm to tell stories. And I never grew up with a music theory background, but all the songs that you heard today were things that I created through like GarageBand and mostly sung through, and worked with the incredible Adam Sakiyama, who came through with them arrangements to translate the music that I had. So it happened through just wanting to see something that represented like our stories, and it was, I'll be honest, a little stubbornness, just to be like, I
know.
I think African musicals, I think we're inherently a musical community. I like particularly Miskeen that you just saw on the show is a song inspired by like the disco era that was in the 70s in Somalia, and what it means to kind of carry music over. So this is how it happened. This is how the cookie crumbled.
Which is amazing. We just have a couple of minutes left. There's some questions about the research materials and documentaries, which anything that we have access to, anything you've seen in the chat, my museum is going to be emailing to everyone afterwards. If anybody finds the lost VHS that is missing from the Toronto Public Library, please do let us know. There is some questions about a practical question about where we can watch this show, and to anyone who has a producing venue out there, I would say like open season, let's like get together, give me a call. I mean, jokes. I'm sure we'll have future announcements, so just keep an eye out. Dixon Road, it's easy to remember. I think that you kind of at least sideways touched on a lot of these other pieces of the questions about writing and personal experiences. And so I want to end with a very practical question that is very meaningful to me, because it is something that I have actually gone to their website and looked and thought to myself, like, I don't know, if I go to Istar, what would I order?
The sheh, the tea.
What?
Very
Yeah.
The tea. It is.
What makes it special?
If you don't have a sweet tooth, you might not like it, but that I think is a you problem. So definitely get the sheh, get the tea with milk.
Get the sheh. Yeah. Get the sheh. So if you go to Istar, get the sheh. That's fantastic. Thank you. I can't thank you enough for sharing all of this wonderfulness with me. I have been lucky enough to be working with Fatuma for the last 2 years on the piece, which is how I know just how stubborn she is. And now I want to make sure that we also thank all of the collaborators who have been part of this process and my museum, this workshop. First and foremost, I want to thank the cast of the workshop who helped us to develop the piece. You don't get to see all of it just yet. Like I said, we're shopping for a home, and tickets will be on sale soon, I'm sure. But in the last 3 weeks, this musical has taken the most gigantic leap forward in terms of its development process, and that is thanks in no small part to an incredible cast of actors, including Nadine, Araya, Aiden, Jermaine, Yemi, and Michael Lamont. So thank you to all of you. Fatuma, do you have some things to add there?
Yes, I do. I do have some things to add there. I would love to thank Ray Hogg at the Musical Stage Company and Mumbi Otu over at Obsidian for their insights and guidance, which is also a large reason for the big leap that we've taken. Writing musicals are hard. So, and I only take notes from people who I know care about the material. And these two folks really care about the material. So thank you, Ray and Mumbi.
And you know, Fatuma mentioned earlier, but Adam Sakiyama, my compatriot in the trenches for much of this entire process, but also just like amazing genius. I wish that all of you had the experience of watching him teach music to someone else, or to communicate with Fatuma about the music and like sort of what the elements are that they should incorporate, because he makes the most wonderful expressive faces, and then otherwise when you're talking to him it's like flat, just like this. And so he really speaks through his music, and I think that you can hear that in this piece. So thank you to Adam. And finally, take us away, Fatuma.
Definitely doubling down on that. Thank you to Adam for, again, like it honestly makes me want to highlight that when you come up in a community that doesn't necessarily teach things like music theory, or you aren't given the opportunity to, it is really nerve-wracking to enter a space where music is the thing. And I knew I had music I wanted to share, I just didn't have the language to articulate it, and Adam came through for that, and I'm so grateful. And I'd also really like to thank the community of Dixon Road and the Somali diaspora. When that article with me and my dad came out, the number of Somali folks who shared it and connected with the story really reminded me why I'm doing this and why I'm trying to do something with this. And yeah, if anything, I'm just glad that you now know a little bit more about Dixon Road.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for all your wonderful comments and questions and support. This was amazing.
Great. And have a great night. Thank you all for showing up.
Thanks.
Bye.